Hi, welcome to my factory Five Roadster build number 5. I believe that's the way this will pan out. Oh, let me get these off. And that's not for dramatic effect. I just left my goggles on. We're going to get into the dreaded brake lines today. This is an area that was a little daunting to me. It's new to me, like most of these things. I did buy an extra brake line to play around with, just to learn how the tubing bends and kind of what to expect, so I'm not experimenting on the finished parts. The brakes in this car are obviously very exposed. The brake lines are very exposed in this, so a lot of this will be seen. I want to make sure it looks good, so a little practice. From there, we'll go into fuel lines. I ended up going with a soft line. You'll see that. I think you saw in the previous video, I did get the fuel pump plumbed in the tank. That worked out okay. And at the end, if I can in this video, I'm going to squeeze in the drop trunk fabrication, and I think that might be all for this video. So without further ado, let's get moving. Oh wait, did I actually say adieu? Sorry about that. First step is to drill the hole for the brake line reservoir. You can see here I'm struggling with some very dull bits. Not to worry, I've got that covered with my handy dandy drill doctor. Every shop should have one of these, by the way. It is a lifesaver.
I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you.
Hey, I figured I'd give you a break from the monotonous music here. I'll chat quickly about the brake lines. First of all, I had a blast putting them in. They were a lot of fun. I love doing little curlicues at the end to take up the extra line. But all in all, if you take your time you kind of understand how the material works, they go together pretty nicely. So we're going to move into this next step, which is running the fuel lines. I first had to figure out a way to mount the fuel bracket. I'm sorry, the fuel filter. I ended up doing my own bracket just to kind of keep things clean back there. So that's where we'll kick it off, and then I'm going to show you how I'm running the lines to the front of the engine bay. There's obviously nothing up there yet to plumb to, but the lines will be ready and waiting. I'm not sure where most put the fuel filter when you have an independent rear suspension. It seems like you're really challenged for space and to make it accessible. And the other part of it too is because my battery was pushed into some of that spare space, it made me, forced me to get a little creative as to where I mount the fuel filter. So I put it here. I can still get to it from up underneath the car. It seems like a logical choice. Hope it works out. So when I was recording or attempting to record the fabrication of my drop trunk, I didn't hit the record button, and it was one of those parts that I thought would have been interesting to have seen. So yeah, that's a bummer. But here's what I did, and basically it's a different way of forming a drop trunk. I didn't use aluminum. I used the original part that came from Factory 5. I used that aluminum as a template, and formed this. So let me see if I can flip this around here. Yeah, this is a little different, right? I used a 4-way stretch material, fabric. It's a lycra, kind of the stuff you might see in tights or maybe bathing suits, I'm not sure. And I stretched it, I'll pan out here a little bit more. I stretched secured the fabric around the outside edge, and then cut these 2 pieces of plywood to serve as, I guess, a plug to stretch the fabric down to conform to the bottom of the opening. It sits about a 1/2 inch above the gas tank, so it actually doesn't contact the gas tank. And then once everything was stretched in place, there's a layer of plastic underneath and tape. I then weighted it down, and that was a difficult part. Took a fair amount of weight to get to that fabric to stretch to its extent. But stretched the fabric down. Once I got it in place and happy with the location, I painted it with polyester resin. Soaked it pretty good with polyester resin. It's remarkably stiff. And this is just essentially the form to make the fiberglass tub. So to this I'll adhere multiple layers of fiberglass and resin. If you've noticed too, there's a draft angle. So these plugs are smaller than the actual opening, smaller than this opening here. But if you notice, there's a draft here, the draft here, here, here. Every point there's a draft, and that's so when I trim this out all along here, what I'll be left with are these 2 fiberglass tubs. Theoretically, they should be able to lift directly up and out. The battery box is here underneath there. There's going to be an access panel cut here with a piece of aluminum that's screwed in there. The battery comes out from the front, or the back I should say, so I can have full access to that, and also the wiring of the battery. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the overly long video. I had to cram a lot of stuff into video 5, it seems. Stay tuned for the next update, which I believe will include electrical. along with quite a few other things. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.